Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. Kidnapping may have become rampant in Nigeria and for some, a lucrative business. But with security agencies buckling up, there have been more arrests in the past months. According to police force PRO, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, while parading some of the suspects in Abuja, he said, quote, in the last 6 weeks, the Nigeria police force has arrested 307 armed robbery suspects, 296 kidnapping suspects, 301 homicide suspects, among others. He further said that the unit will continue to leverage the existing collaboration between the police and other anti-graft agencies to curb terrorism, financing, and international crimes. Joining us in our Lagos studio is the UK-based security expert, Femi Aratokunwale. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good to see you all. And good morning, the studio here.
Absolutely. It's good to have you, live in the studio.
That's fine. We are live talking it.
So this is quite interesting arrest that has been made by the Nigerian police and, the security agencies, coming together to fight insecurity. But looks like as we are fighting them, decimating them, we are getting some of them also springing up in different areas. What's your first impression of this latest gains recorded by the Nigerian police force?
Okay, let's start from here. Let's give it to the Nigerian police PRO for at least coming out to let us know how far they've gone. How far they've gone, what they're doing, steps they are taking in curbing insecurity and stupid menace in our society today. Let's give it to them. They are trying their best. But the question remains, when we have numbers like this rising up, not going down, what exactly is the root cause that we're actually not addressing, not really talking about? Do we have people behind the scene making sure that things don't work? Or we have people behind the scene working against the government, working against the Nigerian police, working against all other security agencies? These are key things we need to first look into before we start talking about, okay, this is the area we need to go to, this is the area we need to tackle, this is how we need to address this and that. If we look at these statistics we've just given out to us now, fine. Is it something that's happened only in Abuja, Lagos, or just across all the states? Before you can come up with a definite statistics and numbers like this, you must be very sure where the whole issue is more rampant or where it's less rampant. Those are the key things I think the police need to, dive into and explain, make it more clearer to every one of us to know.
Mm. And, as much as we also want to talk about or acknowledge the efforts of the security forces in this progress and addressing these issues, you talked about the location in addressing some of these statistics. To an extent, you will see that it has moved even from the northern part, which was prevalent at a point in time, schoolgirls and others at that region. But now it's not widespread. If you go to social media, you see a lot of requests for, assistance in the payment of ransom. So let's go directly into it. What are the major factors fueling this issue?
Well, one of the key factors fueling this issue is unemployment in our society today. Again, another thing that is actually influencing all this stuff is the social media influence, what people see, how people live their life. Everything is now being, posted and, displayed online. So a lot of people want to be like them. The game is this: if you can't beat them, then you rather join them. Then the question is, how do you join them? You look for any means just to be known. You look for any means just to be like, you know what? I am there. That is why you see they call some people the ballers. So when you see certain things being done online and the security services are not questioning or trying to put things into, look, the society is getting towards a different direction, let us move things back, then we are not heading towards the right places. So these are part of what I think in my own domain, my own angle, what is really causing all these issues we have today.
Absolutely. Security is a global issue anywhere in the world, no matter how developed the economy is.
I absolutely agree with you.
They actually have, their own form of insecurity or the other. But government in, administration out, they've been promising, they always have it as part of a fulcrum that they will fight insecurity or they will ensure that there is security of lives and property in the country. So this current administration also, promises to fight insecurity and all of that. I don't know what your assessment has been and how you think this recovery, what these recoveries reveal about the current state of security in the country.
Okay, let's try
what
to...
the Inspector General of Police said is that we are actually, overcoming the insecurity situation.
Okay, let's try to address this issue one after another. IG said his own. That's fine, thumbs up for him. He's gotten his team working with him. But what about the police officers within the front line working to make sure that things are done correctly? Are they well served? Are they well paid? Do they have the normal welfare, the proper welfare? Do they have the right tools and the right kits to fight this insecurity we're talking about? Are they properly trained, or we're just looking at the training they've given to them in police college, police training school when they started?
How do you answer some of these questions, sir?
How do I answer all these questions? The question lies with the IG to come on board and say, you know what, at Amukoko police station, AXYZ training has been given to them up to date. At Area F police station, all the security and police officers there are fully trained, are fully well manpowered, and everything.
In all fairness, the Nigeria police, especially, even before IGP Egbetokun and the current leadership, they've been talking about what they've been doing to revamp the Nigeria police force to also
it's not only about what they've been doing.
Right.
It's about what has been done. What are the investments they put into the main frontline officers?
What have you not seen?
A lot. Look, we're not joking. Do they pay for their uniforms themselves, or uniforms are being supplied by the MPF? Let's start from there.
It has been an issue within the community.
It has been an issue, right? What about the footwear they wear? What about their way of talking to members of the public? Their security customer service? What exactly have changed so far? Are we still seeing bribery on the road or not? Are we still seeing police brutality or not? These are key things we need to talk about. We want to see things improve. That's fine. I'm not saying the department is not doing their best. They are trying. Let's give it to them. But the question is this: how well are they trying? Divisionally, are people really doing their thing as well? It's not just to talk at the Abuja headquarters. IG needs to go to other local police stations area, unannounced visits, see what is going on around there, because most of this insecurity happens, just around the localities. What does it cost him to, you know what, today I am going to Ijerekiti unannounced? What does it cost him to say, today I am going to somewhere in Borno State unannounced? Let me spend a day visit over there or 2 days visit. These are the ways you will definitely know what is going on within or underneath that people are not telling him. It needs to be down there to see how things does work. Now, let us go to the issue of the arms being recovered based on what you mentioned. All these arms are being imported or maybe grabbed from one police officer or the other, or maybe sold online, or maybe from the northern side area. They all have serial numbers. They have manufacturing companies and who produces them. Then why not let's trace things down? We have our forensic department, yes or no? We do.
What are they
doing?
Locally fabricated?
If they are, there's definitely going to be certain ways you will know that, okay, these are locally fabricated. But when it comes to AK-47 and some assault rifles, yes, they can do it, but we will know which are manufactured and which are locally fabricated. This is how you start putting things together. And no matter what you do, there are fingerprints all over these weapons. The question is this: do we have the database to check and see who is who behind all these menace we have?
And, proper data has been one of the major issues that, to an extent, we have been facing in this country. But let's speak to what you have said about the possibility of some persons sponsoring it and perhaps this becoming an industry in itself. You mentioned about the role of, weapons, illegal smuggling and all that. 2 days ago, the Nigerian Custom also intercepted 270 million weapons at the Lagos airport. Those were illegally imported weapons. Well, perhaps someone is fueling this. Perhaps it has become an industry in itself.
Absolutely. A poor man or an averagely, growing person would never do this. So the question is this: where are these weapons coming from?
And to who?
And to who?
And for what purpose?
For what purpose? So the question is where were they bought from? Every single information is actually there with them, except, and I repeat it, except they are not ready to tell us. But if they are ready to tell us, there's one policy they can bring on board: name and shame. Let us name these people.
Name and shame is not a new lexicon in the Nigerian.
But yes, but we're not doing it. We're not saying it. We're not acting it. If we do and act it, at least it will definitely cover certain things. If it's a pastor, name the pastor. If it's a lecturer, name the lecturer. If it's an imam, name the imam. If it's a senator, name the senator. Whoever will go to jail will go to jail, rather than making life unbearable for innocent citizens in our country today. We're making life difficult for our security officers, making them believe, or making us believe, that they're actually not working. They need their proper rest, but we're not giving them chance to rest. That is why we see they overwork themselves. And the moment you overwork yourself, you're going to get burnout. And once you're burnt out, trust me, there's nothing you can do. Well, so we have this issue at hand to deal with, especially their mental states. If we don't deal with all this, you will see them at the end of the day becoming rusty. Do we want to see our security officers at the end of their career becoming rusty? No, we don't want to. So the best way is this: let us collectively, as Nigerians, work together and see how things can work better. It is not just by the lawmakers, it is not just by parents, even the school and the students as well are involved, because you mentioned courtesan just now. So the schools are involved. So when the schools are involved, what do? We have criminology students in all these schools. Let us tap into their brain. Let us exercise for us what they know, or how best some policies can work. Give them a project and let us see what they're going to come up with. This is how you work things out. It's simple, but if we go through the bureaucracy, it's going to become a bottleneck.
Based on your expertise in security, and then, of course, based in the UK, and then also analyzing or monitoring security trends across the globe, help us understand what you consider the strategies and intelligence that you thought that led to the success of the arrest of this suspect and recovery of firearms, and how you think they can replicate these strategies across the nation. If you look at America, plays big brother role, but they still go through the issue of gun violence. UK has its own problem.
Going through their own leads.
Gun and all of no. I meant to say knife and some other things. They have a way. They have ways of fostering insecurities in these countries. But which country has better managed the security issues, and where you think we can copy from, and what they've been doing right?
You see, if you want to talk about which country, there are so many countries out there that are actually managing it. In fact, managing it more than expected.
Is it that they are managing insecurity, or they are managing the narrative? Or
they are managing the narrative, they are changing the dynamics, and they're actually working towards it. A typical country out of all this is Norwegian system of government. They have what you call the 7-star prison. It's more like a hotel. Prison guards don't use guns, no batons, nothing whatsoever. They live large as if they're in hotels, yet it's a prison. The design, the structure, and everything there is so completely different. You can't compare what we have.
It's like making prison attractive.
It's not about making prison attractive. It's about how would they integrate back to the society by the time they leave the correctional area. So we can replicate the same thing. The Interior Ministry seems to have a lot to do when it comes to these certain things you've just mentioned to us. But again, one thing that matters the most is this: trust. Police department needs to trust the people, and police department needs to understand how to protect the vulnerables when they divulge information for them.
And the people also need to trust the police department.
Absolutely. Before the people can trust the police, police must come down and open up with open hands.
I mean, the police are usually accessible.
Well, it is not that they are, look, they are accessible, but we have some bad ones among them too that will definitely, make life difficult for you if you give them information.
All right, so picking it up from what you, said, what would be the place of, deterrence to rehabilitate, especially for these ones that have been arrested in recent weeks? What would be the place of, ensuring that even when they are sentenced or whatever punishment they're being given, there won't be a high rate of, recidivism and other factors? Because you mentioned unemployment. Of course, we have to acknowledge some of these environmental factors.
Well, sadly, we do not have the structure well put in place in Nigeria when it comes to the radicalization and, certain things they need to do. Yes, we do have some charity organization out there trying to help, but is the police actually supporting them? Do we have the banks? Do we have the government? Do we have the local government supporting them? Do we have the state government supporting them as well? It's another key thing we need to look into. It might not be a topic for today, but what I'm saying is this: a lot can actually be done. But before we go into that, how do we make sure they do not, reoffend back again? This is where the database needs to come in. If you put their database on board, if they go to somewhere like anywhere other states, can they actually be easily identified if they, go into, attacking or, committing any crime again? Can they be easily identified or not? So it's easy for them to slip into the society after, maybe releasing them or bail or, free or anything, I don't know. But the question is this: if we do not have the right database to curb and, govern every one of us, we will end up talking about this some other time.
But the seizure of these firearms and also arrest of some of the kidnappers and all of that, what do you think we should do, or we should always do, with some of these firearms that were seized? I know that customs, NDLEA will definitely usually always burn some of this contrabands. I call it contraband in my own words. But what should we do with them? Is there a way we use them to our own benefit and to our own advantage? And those who also locally fabricate this, how do we tap from their knowledge?
Well, it's a two-way thing. The ones that actually, being, those that have been arrested, and part of those that have, they've been confiscated so far, what have they done in the past? We need to look into that. Do we have a museum, or do we have a storage facilities whereby for future or projects or, educative analysis and stuff like that, can we actually go in there and like, okay, in the year 1970, this was recovered, this is the cash of whatever we recovered, in year 2000, stuff like that. Because every month, every week, we see them recovering arms. So the question is...
I thought you were concerned about the Nigerian police not being armed with adequate weapons.
Yes, I am concerned about it, but the question is this.
You have to take this.
No, the question is this. The confiscated ones, are they giving it back to them? After analyzing them? We don't know. So the question is, where are they keeping all these arms?
So you're maintaining that some of these confiscated weapons are not distributed among the Nigerian police. They're not using it to their own advantage. To me, leave them to be using the old weapons.
Maybe they are using the old weapons, or if they are using it, this is something IGP should, let us know as well. That confiscated ones are fully destroyed. Fabricated ones, we are looking into how we can modernize them. Who are those behind it? If they are if they are from certain sets of people, let us see how we can tap into them. Who says people in correctional facilities can be useful to our society? Yes, they can be, because something led them to what they are doing. So let us see how we can turn their negativity to positivity. I think this is how police and other security departments should look into, curbing the menace we have today in our society.
And, while we're looking at this on a holistic level, I think we should bring it down to the average Nigerian who is watching and thinking that while you're blaming the government or saying that, the security agencies should do more, what should we look out for, especially in cases like this?
I think, we have a slogan that says, see it, says, sort it out stuff. That, Nigeria is actually
when you see something,
say something and, let them sort it out. It's actually on the go right now, and a lot of people are actually talking about it. But just like I said, it's a collective effort. We just need to look for a basic intervention that will definitely make it work. And the only way out is this. We just need to leverage on transparency and openness within our democracy, within our security architecture, and let us look for other better ways of how do we make this work. Through the community leaders, youth leaders, the pastors, the imams. Let's see how we can work things out collectively. That is the only way we can work it out. Not only them, let us now start looking into our security, private ones as well. That, what do you think we need to do to support you? from the local level to the national level to the international level. This is how you collectively work things out. Don't get me wrong. When you see things working in America and other European countries, it is not by magic. It's about data collection of things that's happened over time in different places all over the world. They're not like putting into context, let us see which one is practicable and which one is not practicable. I think with all these ideas, if we put it together and you bring in different experts who are Nigerians abroad or anywhere, bring them on board and let them support you.
That's right.
If you can do that without, putting politics into it, I think it will go a long way. I think so, because market women are talking. But the question is this: do we have market security officers? We don't have.
Let's try to broaden these security situations in the country beyond the Nigerian region.
Yeah.
Look at the ECOWAS region. The president currently is in ECOWAS, the AU meeting in Ghana, and then he talked about, he highlighted the ECOWAS achievements, challenges at the AU meeting, saying that ECOWAS will continue to dialogue with Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger to maintain unity. If you look at on a broader perspective, some of these countries they've announced that their withdrawal from ECOWAS, and others are also being faced with crimes, terrorism. Talk about the Sahel region, extend it to Sudan and other places. How do you think Africa can come together to ensure that while we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and they will also talk about regional security and all of that, can be used to African advantage rather than waiting for the Western world, who are, for instance, US playing the big brother role, having its own problem, but also running after other people's problem and causing more problem for them. How do you think we can make ourselves, one indivisible whole?
Yeah, let's look at it from this angle. You remember some years back, Gaddafi said it, the late Libyan leader, he said it, that Africa belongs to us, that we should not listen to the Western world, that we should do things our own way. Certainly some people believe, certainly some people refuse to believe him. But what he said then seems to be playing a part today.
They killed him.
They killed him. He was, completely silenced, and that's it. Now, if you look at Burkina Faso, you mentioned Congo and some other places, you can see the level of corruption of how mineral resources were being whisked away, and the people they are living in abject poverty. Are you telling me that African leaders in general are like, let us rally around together and make sure that all these countries are well supported? No. Everybody seems to be silent that we have our own problem, we have our own problem. But the moment you see all these countries pulled up, people start shouting. It is the level of trust that we don't have collectively within our leaders. That is why this is happening. It is because we keep on lying to each other. That is why all this is happening. I'm not going to say it's a good thing for them to pull out, but if they think pulling out will be a better way and a good way for them to govern themselves, so be it. Because at the moment, we call ourselves the giants of Africa. Are we actually behaving like giants of Africa in the first place? Those are the key things we need to ask ourselves. Are leaders over here actually behaving the way that others will see? And they're like, you know what? We want to see the same thing happen. Don't let us forget. Let me take you back and give you a reference to just two different things. In Nigeria today, do we have any government supporting the entertainment industry? No. You can see how it's thriving all over. But security that the government is actually supporting, what have we achieved? That is a question, that is something we need to take home and think about. Event industry today, government is not supporting it as all because we don't have event ministers or whatever. Is it not striving? It's striving. Let us look at the music and Nollywood industry. No governmental, as a minister of these, that is really clamping on each. And
so are you perhaps saying we should look at a private approach to this?
We should look at, of course, yes. We need to look at private approach to a lot of issues because Nigeria seems to have a lot of influence around the globe. Nigeria seems to have influence in Africa. What we say goes a long way. But our attitude, our acts might probably let us down for them. And they were like, look at who he's talking. come on, go and sit down there.
But we have commission that are actually, seeing into some of these, sectors that you mentioned, the
I know.
all of that, regulatory commission.
But they are not building them up.
And some others.
They didn't build them up. Remember, they didn't build them. We have musical school of art and everything. How many of those that did music and whatever are in the limelight today? So that means the street is where the solution lies.
So, let's not, deviate from the conversation.
But it's the power of it.
It's part of it anyways. Yeah. To the trust deficit that you mentioned, what do you make of those that would argue that, data is really not the problem of Nigerians? Because at the point, everyone was forced to have their NIN, other forms of identification. And if you go to the bank today, you can access almost any information. These kidnappers have bank accounts.
Just like
you can access, they have cards and all that. So it may really not be the problem of data.
Well, if we go into that, I think, let me put it to you this way. There are ways bankers or the finance department measure how much money comes in and out in different accounts. And there's a pattern how you spend your money to. Every month there's a pattern. And they know roughly how much comes, is being deposited or transferred. So you have a history, everyone seems to have one. But when you see some suspicious activities, how do you question them? When you see some suspicious activities, the question is do you actually stop this account, let us see what's going on with it. Stop this account, let's call the EFCC. Stop this account, let us call the police. Do we do all this? We don't. In communication as well, when certain things are going on, is the communication department actually helping in covering all this? So the finance department, the communication department, the EFCC, and the Nigerian police and the Interior Ministry, they have the collective work to do. If they don't know, they have a serious role to play. I have once, advocated for a certain ways of, paying back the kidnappers. But will the banks ever do it is the question. We don't know. We can cobble this if we want to. We can. Once people say it's simple as ABC, ABC is not that simple because ABC seems to have some other alphabet surrounding them, but we can do it collectively if we want to. This is why I said we have criminology students, young, vibrant boys and girls that can actually contribute and solve a lot of our solutions, a lot of our problems and bring in solutions to what we need today. Are we actually looking into them at all? Perhaps we're not. So this is the time we need to, sit back and ask ourselves, let us now go back to the drawing table and redesign what we have in terms of security architecture in Nigeria today. Interesting conversation we have with you, and we believe that the right authorities and, of course, Nigerians who are looking for a better country will also, tap from this conversation. Thank you very much for your keenness of insight on this very crucial topic. UK-based security expert, Femi Aratokunwale. It's good to see you live once again. Yes, it's good to come back home. Thank you so much. Home is good. That's the reason why you're back. Amala is good.